Hey, YouTube. Take off my glasses. Okay, so today was like what I call a shit day. Like, have you ever had a shitty day? Like a bad day? It's just when it's like you're getting like beat up. Okay, so that was today. Like, I try to help my friend because my friend needed to go pick up some clothes and go to the food stamp office. And so I'm like, okay, I got a car, I can help him. I mean, I want to help him, right? So I don't have any air conditioning in my car, and it was like 90 something degrees out. So it was very, very hot. Let's just put it that way. I forgot to eat breakfast, and we left at about, I don't know, 9:30, 10 o'clock. Anyway, so or I don't know, it seemed like that. Then he had to wait a while for his appointment, but we did pick up his clothes. We were really hot in the car. There was a lot of traffic today, and it was just difficult. A lot of traffic. I was like hungry, and it was hot, and you know, and we had to wait. So that was the beginning, and we're just like dealing with it and stuff, and then like first he goes in to go. He thinks he's got his appointment, and he's gonna get his food stamps. He thinks that's all gonna work out in one day, but come to find out, it didn't work out that way. So then he was all pissed off and screaming. And then at the time that he was screaming, my car was like whining about the steering was locking up, and I popped the hood and had to call my superhero to come help me out because I suspected that she was bone dry on steering wheel fluid, which was the case. So it was a simple fix. But in the meantime, I was sitting there with my hood puffed up, wishing I had enough money to get AAA. So this is like what I mean by a shit day. It's like just things like dominoes like falling. But I stayed calm, right? I was like, can't flip out about this. I mean, as calm as you could because, he was screaming. And when he was screaming at me, then I was screaming at him, my friend. Okay. So anyway, he was upset because of the red tape situation of getting food stamps. I was upset about being the kind of woman who doesn't know how to, have fluid in the car, like the stereotypical dingbat woman who's not prepared for little things. So then, after my superhero came and fixed the steering situation, and we were on the road again. So we get home after a lot of traffic and a tough day. Get home, and my friend's going back to his little place where he's staying in the back, and he says to me, and I mean, to be fair, he's only 26, so I have to be forgiving about some of the things he does as a 26-year-old because 53-year-old, I'm supposed to be wiser and more understanding. But as a 26-year-old, he goes to me, would you get my clothes in the back and bring them to my room? And I was like, you got to be kidding. I mean, I'm twice his age. I just did all that driving in the heat, in the traffic. My car stressed me out. He was yelling. I dealt with that. And then he thinks that I'm going to drag his clothes when he's 20 something years younger than me. So at that point, I said some foul language because he'd been cursing all day. I mean, he was cursing out the window. He was cursing in general. And a couple times I told him that was unnecessary, but he has the attitude that freedom of speech is important, so fuck off. So I said, okay, I can respect that. But when he asked me to get his clothes and drag his clothes when I was exhausted from all that driving in the heat with no air condition, I at that point I used some foul language. Because I don't believe that was logical in any way. It's not. I'm not going to stereotype it about the penis and the vagina. I'm not going to do that. I'm just gonna say, at least if he can't be chivalrous about the penis and vagina thing, then at least he should have said, "Well, she's older than me, and she just got out of the hospital." Or maybe he doesn't know that I just got out of the hospital a couple weeks ago, or maybe he does. Maybe he just that just slipped his mind, and maybe he doesn't realize that most of the time my knees are screaming with arthritis, and maybe he doesn't realize that I'm 5'3" and I almost weigh as much as him, even though he's 6'1", and maybe he just doesn't realize that that was a stupid thing to say. So I said, "I'm not your nigger," and he says that's a hate crime. And I said, "You're a cracker," and he says that's a hate crime. And I said, "You're a slave driver," and that's the terminology that I use for slave drivers. So I guess it's a matter of perspective on what these words mean. But when someone tries to take advantage of me that bad when I'm exhausted, those were the words that came out. So if I'm guilty of a hate crime, which I don't think so because I was angry, but I wasn't trying to, you know, hate or kill somebody or something like that. You know, I think it's ridiculous that freedom of speech advocates have limits on the freedom of speech. Get out of here.